So Let's Connect was basically created due to a great success during my consultations. Okay, so I work as a consultant. I go out to the customers basically on a weekly basis, and I'm repeating myself, and then we're going through the same things over and over again. And then I realized that I can reach a broader audience. And better yet, you can watch this video before we start our consultation. Okay, so you have a head start, and we don't need to go over the same things over again. Okay, so that's the main tension, and to bring you awareness. Okay, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not a salesman. I'm here to bring awareness. Are you familiar with the management, the EDCAR model, where awareness is the first step for change? Okay, so I want to bring you awareness. I want to show you what's out there. Oh, what are you talking about in digital transformation? How to use Industry 4.0 technologies the right way. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about here. Okay. Who's the target audience? Who should be watching this? Primarily manufacturers. Okay. So, if you're in manufacturing, if you're in engineering, in operations, if you already have a digital transformation team, that's great. If you don't, if you're in the upper management, if you are a VP and you want to get started, this is great. We're going to be talking about strategy and how to start with a dream team. Okay. I have a whole video where I talk about a dream team. There is some thoughts about it on the internet about the dream team, and I see a lot of companies is starting a digital transformation team, and some of them are a little inflated. Some of them are maybe a little too lean. You're starting to do these projects internally versus hiring a contractor. So I have a really strong opinion. I myself was part of a dream team. Okay, in 2019, I moved from Illinois to Pennsylvania. I was part of a dream team, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how that should look like. Okay, so um, yeah, first thing I'm gonna talk about is digital transformation is failing. Okay, Industry 4.0 technology is just not being applied the right way, and there's a lot of frustration. Am I right? If you have done it, that's gonna be your testimonial. That's what's going on right now. So that's very controversial, isn't it, Ricardo? But that's what you do. You should be preaching about it. I am not looking for money. I'm looking to spread this knowledge, to spread this awareness, and let's make it the right way. Let's do it the right way. Okay? So it's not controversial. And the reason is there's a lot of people out there, and Industry 4.0 right now has a bad reputation. Okay, and that's imperial fact, and that's it. Unfortunately, but let's fix that. Let's start this movement. Let's join this movement. Let's spread awareness and change that. We can make a change, and I believe. Okay, so what's one of the main reasons? We have a lack of strategy. Okay, you're trying to accelerate, it's one of the worst words that people can talk about out there. It's accelerating the digital transformation, and that's going on is that leadership's not aligned. Okay, so your digital transformation team is spending millions of dollars. In the meantime, engineering is putting out legacy equipment in on the lines. Okay, so the reality is now we have a very low maturity level. Okay, Ricardo, what's a maturity level? I'm gonna teach you all about it. Okay, so it's a digital transformation maturity assessment that you need to make, so you see where you are before you know where you gotta go. Okay, and when that's combined with opportunistic companies that are just there trying to sell you something. And like I said in the beginning, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to spread the awareness. Okay. So that's a very dangerous recipe when you meet with these opportunistic companies and you want, things for yesterday. Okay. So there's a lot of over promising and under delivering, isn't it? Let me know. Like I said, my goal is to bring you awareness and how to identify these opportunistic companies. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be going right now, super quick. I have a whole video where I talk about the 5 points that you gotta be watching, that you're gonna be looking. Okay, so now you're going to be able to identify these cues. So whenever you go down the production floor or you have a meeting with a supplier, okay, now I brought you awareness. You're gonna be thinking about it. You're gonna say, that's what Ricardo was saying. So I better be careful. Okay. So number one, okay, number one thing that you gotta be looking out there, plug and play solution. The vendor that comes to you and say, hey, I have buy my product. Okay, it's a plug and play solution, and we're gonna automatic map all your data. Automatic, quote unquote, magically, right? Because how can you map the data that doesn't exist? How can you map the data that is not even over there? Okay. So and that happens over and over again. Let me know if that happens. Okay, you can reach out to me. You're probably listening to this, and you're gonna say, "Man, that's what's going on in here." Okay, that's usually combined with a subscription basis, and subscription is one of the worst things that you can do right now from a vendor. Okay, so that usually leads to what we call the vendor lock-in. Okay, so you're paying a vendor to have a subscription, which again, remember those greedy companies, those opportunistic companies, that's what they want. They want reoccurring expenses, because a business that is designed to make money, that's what they want. They want recurring expenses in the form of subscriptions. They want to put handcuffs on you. Okay, they want to make sure you only buy from them, and it's very tight. So what happens is that you have a vendor-centric solution that's not part of an ecosystem. I'm gonna talk about what an ecosystem looks like, what's open architecture looks like, and how your vendors could be connecting to this open architecture. Okay, so if you're gonna pay subscription, you're going to pay subscription for this open architecture solution where multiple vendors can connect into, and whoever it's the most whoever proves values to you, that's who we're gonna choose. Okay, and not because you're locked with a subscription. Okay, so remember, plug and play solution. Subscription, there's a lot of problems with subscription, so many problems that again I have a whole video talking about it. Okay, I'm not gonna get down into the weeds in here, but you have your first year ROI, you say, wow, I'm actually getting some values out of here. Second year you might break even. If you've done your homework, by the third year you're as lean as possible, and by that time you're losing money. Okay, you have a gimmicky report, sometimes on the cloud, and of course they make it something beautiful. And one things that these companies have in common that you gotta avoid, okay, it is they're usually IT companies, very well funded. Okay, they came from finance, they came from another industry, they see manufacturing, they say, wow, this is a big opportunity, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of opportunity in here. So they do a very good marketing. They have good sales guys that are going to try to sell you something. Over promise, like I said, magically map all your data. You're going to have dashboards on the cloud and right on your phone. And be careful with that. Careful with some buzzwords. I don't like the accelerate digital transformation. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. The real meaning is nice, okay? But for majority of the people, when you say accelerate digital transformation, what that means is just hit the gas and go. Okay, so when you go in your car, what do? Do you get in your car, you start accelerating and just go anywhere without a plan? No, that's not what you do, right? So it's the same. Uh, Digital transformation is about planning, is about assessing where you are. Okay, it's about knowledge, is about being aware of the possibilities. Okay, that's how you change. It's about how you have a strategy, okay, and then how you execute on this strategy, and how you adapt as you go. All right, so uh accelerate digital transformation is probably the worst um buzzword that is out there, and it's failing because of that. Okay, so before you go anywhere on your car, you got to make an assessment. How much gas do I have? Okay, I have a quarter tank. Am I gonna be able to get there? What time is it? Okay, I'm gonna be able to get there. So that way you don't have rework, because that's what's going on right now. You're just accelerating without proving value, without running a proof of concept, without running a pilot, without being scalable, and you're just accelerating. And then what you have is a lot of rework. Okay, so if you start accelerating that way and your destination is that way, now you're spending more gas, you're spending more resources to get back on track. Okay, so you got to be very careful with that. And one of the things that I talk about all the time, it's the digital foundation. How important, I cannot stress that enough, how important it is for you to do your digital maturity assessment, build that foundation, and start building on it. Okay, when you build a house, do you start just putting a bedroom in here? Imagine that you put it a bedroom in here, and then you make it a little kitchen in here, and then you put a lot of another bedroom up top, and then if you don't have the right foundation, the house is gonna fall, or you have to do rework. You gotta tear it down to start it. The same thing, you gotta do your foundation. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna help you with, and we're gonna spread this knowledge. We're gonna start this movement. Okay, um, buzzwords and a short plan. You have, again, isolated solutions that are not part of an ecosystem. Okay, that can be your let's say predictive maintenance. That there's a lot out there. I'm not gonna mention any names in here. Okay, I avoid as much as I can, but there's a you probably heard of one or two solutions that say, hey, we can install these sensors right here, this to do vibration analysis, and look at these pretty reports on the dashboards that sometimes they don't even exist. They were made on Photoshop. They were photoshopped, right? And you're getting to a subscription. You don't own the sensors. You don't own the data. And then you may say, hey, Ricardo, but I can do a data migration. That is no problem. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Sometimes not, especially for this vendor-centric solution. Sometimes you have a nice platform, something that you have all your data in there, and it is worth. In this vendor-centric, what we find is that, okay, I have 3 years of data that we can migrate. This data is not structured, it's not in a good semantic model, it's not, it's raw values in there, and even worse, is not contextualized. So whenever we're starting putting one of my systems in there, the very first thing that we do, we contextualize. Okay, so let's say in this case on the vibration analysis, you get the vibration of the motor, and that's all you get the first 3 years. But that's maybe 10% of the data, 15% of the data, because the rest, the contextualization of it, when you're transforming data into information, it's all brand new. So it's from here forward, because these solutions, they don't get the speed of the motor. Okay, so let's say the torque of the motor, they don't do that. So that's a very so the juice is not worth the squeeze. So for us to transform this data and ingest this data to have retroactive visibility, or so you can go on an AI and look back and look at these uh, patterns and behaviors, is not enough data, because again, we are only looking at a small percentage of it. You don't have the context. Okay, so again, and another reason, and that you start to learn once you get into the strategy piece, and sometimes becomes very political, because you're looking, a lot of people are looking into instant gratification. Okay, they want this quick reward. and let's say, hey, I'm the manager. I want the solution for tomorrow. I don't want to wait. I'm anxious. Okay. And they say, hey, just buy my subscription and all your problems are going to go away. And that's what they do it. But there are no shortcuts. That's the thing. You got to go level by level for you to be successful in a long term. And leadership misalignment, that's a big one, because in an organization you may have, your director in there. You may have this department with um, digital transformation department that is doing a lot of hard work to get out over there. In another side of things, you have engineering and procurement. There's still have the legacy thinking. And right now, with this, let's do more with less. How can we shave the scope? Okay. And how can we go out and start these bidding wars and start to buy dummy machines? Okay. So you have it's so much leadership misalignment, because you have these people sometimes spending millions of dollars in a lot of budget to get this data. And then you have on the other side people buying brand new machines uh, with no brain. Okay, we're talking about industry 2.0 solution. We're talking about just a motor, I start and stop. uh, I've seen these days some photo eyes going to straight to DVFD when they have a PLC. So the PLC doesn't even control the start stop of a pump. It's straight to a sensor. There's a lot of wrong things with it. Okay, so um, you need leadership needs to be aligned. Okay, so you need to give as a requirement for a new machine builder so you can buy smart machines. And I'm gonna tell you how smart machines are the foundation for the digital transformation. You need to have good specs, and I can help you with all that. I'm gonna share all this information here for free. I don't want anything in return. Okay, I want to uh, free you from subscriptions. I wanna um, set you free. Okay, so imagine like the Aladdin, right? So funny thing is that I have a 5 years old son, and he was asking me what was my favorite movie. Just going off tangent in here. um and then I said, hey, it's Aladdin. And so just think about the genie. So give me the first two wishes. Comment in here, participate. Let's talk about it. Let's make this happen. Okay, maybe we can engage on something. I can help you out. Okay, as my second wish. But my third wish is that I want to set you free from subscriptions. You should not be paying the amount that you are in subscriptions. Okay, and we can do so much more with less. And again, people are spending millions on it, where you can we can build this base, build this foundation for a fraction of the cost. And I'm telling you, and I guarantee you, okay, some of them, we are doing a proof of concept where we're not even paying for any labor. I guarantee you that I'm going to prove you value in a very short time. And that's one of the things the facilitator does. I can negotiate. We have a high power of buyer. I can negotiate trial licenses. Okay, all we need is a server. We get things up and running. We make it work. We map some of this data that was a low hanging fruits. Okay, so sometimes this data is out there, but they're not visible. So I can go into your network. Okay, I work with Data Highway Plus, with DeviceNet, with Ethernet IP, with Profibus. We bring this data in. Okay, so now the data is visible. We put this data on the HMI. We transform into information. We bring it to your SCADA system. Okay, we're gonna talk. I have another video that I don't believe I had to make about HMI and SCADA. Uh, how how many people doesn't know the difference between an HMI and SCADA? It's mind blowing. That's so basic. But I've seen a post one of these days and was saying, "Hey, look at my HMI." I was like, "Wow, that's a pretty robust HMI. How do you make that on an HMI?" And then turned out to be a Vector Talk View SE. It's a SCADA, and there is a difference. Okay, so when you're talking about an HMI and a machine builder makes a standalone HMI, okay? A SCADA will control and view all your machines, all your whole process. So you must have a SCADA system, okay? If you're building a factory or if you already have a factory that doesn't have a SCADA system, again, that's a very low hanging fruit. You should have a SCADA system in your factory. And believe me, there are companies out there, big company that yeah. How do you distinguish the bad guys that I was talking to you about from the good guys? And I'm not talking about bad guys technically. Some people are very good, very well. They have the capability. It is just um, the values and principles again from these companies. Okay, you're talking about leadership and strategy of these suppliers. Okay, so the values and principles, like I said, very well funded companies that goes out to market. They build a half baked product and have very good sales guys and trying to sell you something. And they're designed for you to spend money. It is designed for them to make money in recurring expenses, and that's what I want to set you free. And you don't need to engage in any commercial agreements with me. All you have to do is watch this video, think about it. I'm going to bring you awareness so you can start thinking about this, okay? So, in digital transformation, one of the first things that we're going to do is maturity assessment, okay? So, we're going to see what's your maturity level. And the reality is the maturity is so low, okay? I work with the probably 9 out of 10 CPG company, biggest CPG companies, if not 10 out of 10. Okay. Um, and usually the bigger they are, they think, you know, they tend to think they are more mature than they are, but they're not. I'm able to quickly identify very basic things and very low hanging fruits. And we need to build this maturity level. You cannot put the horse in front of the cart, okay? So, um, what do you talk about in the maturity assessment? Infrastructure, network, your Active Directory, DMZ firewalls. We're gonna look into your requirements, how your machines are connected. Do you have standalone machines that are not even in the same network? So these are all low-hanging fruits, okay? Roadmap. By me bringing you awareness, okay, we need to be aligned and we're gonna be aware of how things should be done, okay. We're gonna educate ourselves where we're going to have the knowledge. Now we are able to have a vision, because if you're not aware, if you're not educated what's the possibilities and how you should be doing, uh, you probably won't have a vision. So now we're going to need a clear vision. Okay. Now we're talking about a roadmap. How we're going to execute this. Okay. Are we going to go straight to predictive, straight to citizen developers and users making their own dashboard? Absolutely not. Okay. Not with me. And I just declined a project, a very profitable project that it doesn't align with my values, because you're trying to take shortcuts where you shouldn't. All right. So we need to build this foundation. We need to connect disconnected machines, segregated machines that are not even in the same network. Okay. And again, you don't need to do it with me. So I can help you throughout the project. Okay. But that's one of the things that you should do. Start with the low hanging fruits. All right. Ricardo, how long are we talking about? I'm gonna spend 6 months in here, 1 year. The good guys, again, remember, it's tough to break the news is tough because you probably don't want to hear this, but we're talking about at least 5 years. We're talking more 8 years plan, 10 years plan. Okay, that's a long term. We're talking about building that foundation, and in parallel we can start building value over here on new technologies, but you need to build the foundation. And that's um when you're talking about accelerating. Remember the accelerating, I said, well, it's just misleading, because when you're accelerating the right way, what the what that means is being scalable. Okay, being scalable, making sure the system is scalable. The thing that I see over and over again, I go to different customers, and again, I'm talking about the top 10 CPG companies out there. They make a proof of concept. They say, let's scale. What they call let's scale means let's take this proof of concept and let's do the work all over again in another factory. And now what we did here with 100 data points, now we're going to do with 500,000 data points. And then we're going to go to a million data points, and we're going to map one by one. And that's not how you scale. Okay. You can see how you're going to fail. They're using pooling protocols. Your network's gonna be busy. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about some of the requirements here, which I call the best practices out there. Um, okay, 5 years plan, 8 years plan, 10 years plan. It's political, all right, and you gotta sacrifice the recognition for a bigger cause. All right, what are you talking about? Just like the politics, you're a governor, you're a mayor. If you build a new mall, if you build a new road, um, you're going to take the credit for it, right? Because it's something small, you can do it quickly. And corporate, sometimes you have that. You wanna. I'm the director. I wanna show and I wanna prove my value, so I can climb the ladder. And what I'm going to do is build this quick road because I don't want to have a 8 years plan. Just like like I said, a mayor building a new highway, something that is big, and or a bigger infrastructure, and that's going to take several years, and he may not be there anymore. So hopefully your director, if you are in that position, you're going to stay with the company for 10, 15 years. Okay, you're going to see your baby growing, but you gotta sacrifice the recognition, the instant gratification for a bigger cause. All right. Uh, like a digital transformation strategy without a vision, it's like a ship without a compass. And I like that phrase. I think I heard from Jeff Winter or somebody that is out there. It's pretty cool because you need a vision, and that strategy should follow that vision. And that's what we do here at Tupinix the best, which is build the foundation, mastering Industry 3.0. Okay, so the first 1 to 2 years, sometimes we are working locally. We are working all the way to the edge. Okay, so when you start being successful installing Industry 4.0 technologies for your digital transformation, it's gotta be edge driven. Okay, but there's so much groundwork that we gotta do before we get to the edge, and there's the right and the wrong way to do it. Okay. uh all right, remember the good guys. DevOps approach. And here's another thing. Digital transformation in manufacturing. Okay, I'm gonna say again, in manufacturing should be not driven by IT. Okay, IT should be your enabler. All right, so what do I mean by that? Should be driven by operations. Okay, one of the reasons why it fails is because it's IT people trying to solve OT problem. Can you see how that's a problem? Remember, this finance IT companies trying to solve operational problems that they have no clue about. So IT should be an enabler. And unfortunately, right now, what most of you experience is, some of the resistance is that IT is a policy reinforcer. So they have this policy. They say, "Hey, you must not connect it to our network, and you must not do this." So they're not they're being a policy reinforcer instead of an enabler for innovation. That's huge. So Again, the good guys, DevOps approach. You're gonna ask the operators, the supervisor, the maintenance, the quality people that are down in the trenches. How can you? What do they need? How can you make their job easier? Okay. Um, your process expert. Okay, so who is the most expert in that area? Okay, so whatever area that is, pasteurization. Okay, so you do this water treatment, so you do your cooling tower. Who is the expert? That person probably has a spreadsheet. Okay, so I've seen a lot of people that don't even ask this person to be a key stake. That person is a key stakeholder. That spreadsheet is gold. Why is that? Because it has the CCPs, the critical control points, that has all the data that you need. And most likely, remember about the maturity assessment, that person is going down with a piece of paper. Not that person, but Brian Smith or John Doe is going over there and writing this down. Okay, so every day or every month, and the day that person miss, there we go, we don't have that data. So industry 3.0 right now, you keep scouting for data, and data is say, wow, data is so precious, we really need the data. And when you get mature, you will see that data is the last thing that you're going to worry about, because it's going to be your primary commodity. Okay, so in industry 4.0, in your digital transformation, remember this: data should be your primary commodity. You should not be thinking about how am I going to get this data. No, that data should be readily available to you. And how do you do that? By building the foundation, by connecting disconnected machines, segregated machines, by going there on the low hanging fruits and getting that data. Okay. So, um, all right, we built all this foundation. Okay. So now how we're gonna get to the fun part, to the part that everybody's trying to sell, and how should you build that next layer. Okay, so you did everything here local. So you went there in your drives, you got your data, you get these machines, you contextualized. So now it's not, you're not only looking for that raw data, but looking to how my machine is running. You're looking at when which operation mode am I, I'm doing something here, how is upstream, downstream. Okay, so now you're contextualizing, transforming that data into information, that information into knowledge. Okay, so your edge, from the edge, right? So what's the edge? Is the last piece of your factory. Okay, so that's gonna be on your SCADA level. That's gonna be probably gonna be in some sort of a um, edge device. Can be um, a PC with some kind of software. Okay, from there, how to differentiate the bad guys from the good guys. The good guys will talk about open architecture. Remember, the OA, they're going to be talking about how can you, now you're going to pay subscriptions. Okay, and again, a lot of this you can do with trial licenses. Okay, so until we prove value, we're doing this for our customers. So we set it up, this server, we do it, we built it with all with trial license. You don't spend anything until we prove value. Did I prove value to you? Okay, so now we can go over there, and we already negotiated maybe those prices in there, and we're going to start paying subscription for an open architecture where everybody's going to plug in their data, which every vendor, whoever is most competent, will be chosen, not because you have handcuffs and you got to buy their solution because you're paying subscription to them. All right, the other thing, single source of truth. Okay, so you may know as an MDM, the master data management. I just posted something from 2008. All these, what I call best practices. So we've been doing this. I had a telemetry data from 2008 that we were following all this. It's a single source of truth. It's a lightweight protocols, report by exception. This is very important. So I cannot stress enough. Again, and this may trigger you, and this is my intention. This is what I want for you to be aware, and you're gonna say, man, this is what's going on in here. um Doing pulling protocol from the edge that may work for your proof of concept. Okay, you have, hey, I have a gigabit working here. I have high speed internet. Traffic's not a problem for a few data points in there. When you start scaling this and going to other sites, things start not working. You have big latency. You're gonna face reality. Some of your planes are remote. Okay, so you need a lightweight protocol, report by exception. Okay, and I have a whole video where I talk about this. Okay, we talk about the bad, how, you know, uh, what's better. Let's say OPC, DA, that you gotta do decom. And again, we're not gonna go technical in here. And then how going too fast, and then we go into OPC way. You have the pub subbing in there. We're gonna go to better protocols for edge, which will be something like MQTT, and how when you structure this the right way, when you apply like I said, a semantic model, a plant model, you're using something like Sparkplug B. Okay, now you're talking. Okay, so now we have a lightweight protocol going up. But people have been doing this for a while. Okay, so you have a RESTful API. We've done one in 2020 using Aviva Edge, where have a RESTful API over HTTPS. It's port 443. It's secure. Your IT guys, remember the policy reinforcers, they're gonna like that. MQTT on the TSL, which is the secure port. They can use the 1883 port with outbound message only. Okay, so most of them, I would say 50-50. It's where we are right now, where it's easy for them to allow if they're not educated. Once they get more educated, they understand. We can do that over WebSockets too, which will be the same secure port, which they were gonna like it. Anyways, we're talking about lightweight protocols. We're talking about smart protocols. And on this video, I talk about, data compression, how, you have a standard deviation, and you can even get smarter than that. Again, now will be edge driven. Now you're able to get off the edge and start going up, because the data, the foundation should be first down there in the production floor, down there by the operator. That data, that sensor, you need to do statistics, process control with standard deviation, with min and max average, right? With high, with low. It needs to be visual, not just that 7 segments display with the instant value in there. That needs to tell a story, and they need to have a lever to pull. Okay, you need to adjust in real time. We're talking about leading indicators rather than lag indicators. Okay, that happens all the time now. All this data go to the cloud. A month later, you get a report on how bad you did last month. Is that what you want to do? That's what these gimmicky reports give to you. Okay, so that's not what we want. We want to build that foundation right down on the production floor. Let's grab all your data, all these low-hanging fruits. We're talking about for a fraction of the cost, we can transform data visualization. We can transform how the operators interact with your machines, and that will be the foundation for you to start going off the edge. It was not pun intended, but to go to get off the data off the factory. Okay. um One of the last things that we're gonna be doing, it's the citizen developer. Okay, have you heard of this? I think it was created by Gartner, but doesn't really matter. Citizen developer, what does that mean? That means the operator will be able to make their own dashboards. You can manipulate that data. Okay, somebody in quality, your supervisor. Okay, so that's how things are changing in there. And you should focus on the technology, not the brand. Okay, so let's say I have another video where we talk about how IO Link it is the foundation for the Industry 4.0. Okay, I'm gonna scratch the surface here real quick, doing a time check. Man, it's been already 40 minutes. Uh, uh, you're collecting the true digital data, and a lot of these times they already give you some sort of a UDT, some user defined data type where the data is structured. Okay. So this is great. I'm not talking about any brands in here. I personally love IFM. I love Banner. So should I buy all their products? Definitely not, you know? And again, you need somebody that understands and you need to think and have these mental triggers. I'm installing mental drivers on your head right now. So when they try to sell you a software, hey, uh, AFM again, I love your guys' product, but don't buy that Moneo thing. Okay, so they have a very nice gateway where you can plug in the bus connection in there. The bus can be your Ethernet IP, your Prof bus, your Mod bus, and then you have another port, an IoT port. They do a Y path that is great. From that Y path, that's when you have a choice. You can either connect to an open source via an MQTT protocol, low bandwidth. Okay, this is great. This is what you should be doing. Or you can buy their proprietary software, their segregated and vendor centric solution. Okay. Um, Same thing with Banner. Okay. They have those DMX controllers, and then you can connect to their cloud data services. That's another one that we declined. They want to people wanted to do that. I said no. You know, now you're going to their vendor centric, and that doesn't align with my values. Okay, and again, I want to set you free from subscription. All right. um, about me, my name is Ricardo Santos. I'm the Industry 4.0 facilitator. I facilitate, I make things simple, okay? I simplify to everybody. I tailor my message to the audience, okay? I was born and raised in Brazil before I moved to the US in 2014. I went to school in there, and if you couldn't tell by the accent, I was born and raised in there for 27 years. I went to school. I went to mechatronics for trade school. I did a almost 3 years internship. That's right. Um, I put myself through college. I went to industrial process management, which is a very specific on how to operate a factory. Okay, so they have a nice associate degree on that. I didn't finish. I used some of these credits to go to another university where I did automation and controls. I worked for a system integrator since 2009. And before that, I was already doing my internship and all that. So I've been working with CPG companies, with big companies since 2009. So I would say about 15 years for Coca-Cola, Nestle, Unilever, PepsiCo, Kraft Heinz, Hershey, Danone, General Mills, Ocean Spray. So I don't really have much experience on the mom and pop shop. You know, I don't really know how that's like in there. But these are the companies that I work with. Okay. So, and these are the companies that are tackling more this digital transformation, and that's why I think I'm in this position right now. Okay, so in 2014 I moved to the US with a through a multinational company with an intercompany visa. At that time I barely spoke English. If you feel like I have a thick accent right now, 10 years ago was much worse. That's when I think the facilitator comes in, you know. I landed right here in Harrisburg, very close to my home right now. I went to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Um, the filler wasn't working, you know, it was a lot of stress. People say, I'm gonna send this filler back to Germany. And, you know, if you have a story about a filler, I think we not working, we have a lot of those. Um, and what happens was they were having issues with some of this dosing. Okay, so they were trying to do a fine dosing and it wasn't working. And a lot of people that were uh, very good, proficient in English, was their first language, they were saying, okay, as far as I'm concerned, in situations like this, you gotta look at an overall thing. And there was a lot of words, a lot of words. I saw the problem. I've done this precising feelings a lot of times. I just couldn't communicate. So I had to make it simple. And I said, hey, guys, no problem. Me, programmer, program PLC, here, fast feeling. Here, look, up. Fast feeling, slow feel, react. You stop before it's time, okay? Parameters on the HMI, work tomorrow. I'll make it work. And then they're like, what is this guy talking about? My project manager looks at me, say, I believe you. Let's do it. Let's give this guy a chance, And later on, he comes and he said, you simplified, something that people were going around and around. You just got two cups and you made something simple. So that's why sometimes you're too focused on the programming, on the technical aspect, and you forget the bigger picture. Okay. So I'm an expert in controls and automation. I'm definitely an OT guy. Okay. I've always worked with MES, installing, quality management, OEE, and I think OEE is your primary KPI that you should be looking at. If you don't have OEE in your factory, that's you may be operating a factory now. I don't know, in 5 years from now. Um, so definitely on the OT side, as installing MES, telemetry, and things like that. Um, that's why I'm in this position today, to bridge this gap between OT and IT. Okay, I go down into the networks. I did some projects in 2011 with SAP, the XI. Remember the former XI, the middleware? It's a NetWeaver middleware. And then we did an upgrade to the process integration to the PI. Um, and yeah, so this is me as authentic as possible. I don't pretend to be a person that I am not. I don't fit in a box. If you like me, great, let's work together. If you like my energy, let's do it. I'm here full of energy, to make this happen. um, yeah, so all my career moves has been around how to become a better professional. I've never wanted to go anywhere to make more money. It was always, how can I learn more? How can I go into operations? How can I have more knowledge on this? And this is what I've been doing for the past 16, 18 years. So right now I am prepared. And I believe that luck is a combination between being prepared and having the opportunity. So here's why I'm asking you to give me the opportunity, because ready I am. So maybe I can be lucky. I think language, I love language. Let me know, how many languages do you speak? Okay, so I'm doing this in English. It's not my native language. Can you imagine how much nerve wracking it is? How difficult it is to expose yourself and going out there? This is the hustling, man. We're going out there. We're making this happen. We are capable. Like I said, we have really good experience doing this for several years. And yeah, in summary, IT should not be trying to solve OT problems. You should have a DevOps. You should go down there in the production floor, talk to your specialists, talk to the people that are down in the trenches, and not push something down. Okay, the strategy needs to be from the top down, but the execution should be from the bottom up. You have to build your foundation. Okay, there's no shortcuts. Okay, so don't use any vendor centric solutions. Okay, don't pay subscription to these vendors that wants to have a business model with recurring expenses. Okay, I think I spoke about the dream team. I just want to touch bases real quick here. There was a company saying, hey Ricardo, I wanna, who should be here, who should be doing this? and they were trying to say, hey, I've seen this guy, he told me that I should, hire some data scientists, some data analysts, and these developers, and that's a big no, big no, big no. Your dream team, digital transformation manager, you need a person that is not afraid to go out there and face other people. Okay, so are other people gonna like you? No. Okay, so like I said, I was part of a dream team. I had a manager that was not afraid to go out there, and he had our backs. He used to go and align with leadership on what we needed, and that's what you need on a digital transformation manager. You need an IT enabler. What is an IT enabler? You need someone that will look into our policies, that will work on cybersecurity, will make things safe, and we will enable digital transformation. They will uh, provide you with the servers, with the software, and everything that you need. Okay, so that's in there. A third guy, you need someone strong on OT. All right. So you need someone that it has experience on the operations, a controls guy that knows about protocols, know how to connect an OPC server, how to connect it to an HMI. Someone that understands the data visualization, the information dashboard, that understands how your HMI shouldn't be a Christmas tree, and again, that digital transformation manager should be very strong and talk to engineering and do not accept anything less than a good HMI coming in. Okay, so you're installing something in, you need a SCADA. Okay, and you need you this person. And if you have a facilitator, can help you write customer specs, customer specifications. Okay, and your OEMs, it's tough because when you buy a new machine, the OEMs are trying to do as cheap as possible with as cheap hardware as they can, with as low cost as they can, because it's a bidding war. And in a lot of these companies, it is the decision makers are purchasing and procurement. They get the bids and they say, okay, this bid is the cheapest. They are not looking into competency. They're not looking into the scope. Can they deliver what you need? And so that's when a digital transformation manager can create a separate budget to include it in there, okay, on that machines, to make sure it's either to make sure that it comes as a smart machine out of your OEM, or you can modify. Okay, you have a separate budget to map all this data, to have a certificate, so you can map all these critical control points and put that into your OPC server in there, so you can put in your edge device, and from the edge you can use lightweight report by exception protocols to make this good. Okay, so again, if you have these three people in your digital transformation, you're good. That's all you need. You should not you don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, hire an expert. Okay, so the problem is when you have these internal architects and develops data scientists, they are going through the same things that people already went over. Okay, they are relearning things that someone like me, I go to 5 different factories. I see people making exactly the same mistakes. Those guys learned 3 years ago. These guys learned last year. These guys are learning today. And we tend to think that we are special. Okay, and we are. Okay, we are special to your family. You are unique. You are a unique person. But as a business, we are not that different from our next door neighbor. Okay, so they already went through something similar, and you should not be scared that your facilitator, that your third party contractor will steal any information, or no, that person can share the knowledge like I do, you know. So, like I said, digital transformation, you build the foundation to sustain those levels above. Okay, remember, like the house, if you don't have the foundation, you cannot plug these layers and layers and layers. Okay, so Otherwise, you get into what's called the technical debt. Okay, I don't like to get into these fancy terms too often here. Again, very simple. Say simplify. So if you don't have the connections, okay, if you don't build the foundation, connecting things, okay, and I can't stress enough how smart machines are the foundation. Okay, so you cannot go to be misaligned. Leadership cannot be misaligned where engineering is trying to buy as cheap as machine as possible, and having drives, VFDs on a 4 to 20 on, you're getting start and stop in digital. It's like, man, like, you need to use a network, you need to use some, Ethernet IP, your profnet. You can get so much more data out of there. Those are low hanging fruits. The vendors must supply the critical control points list. Okay, this is one of the things that I do on my digital foundation services. I go to an existing machine, I map all this data, and thinking about process control, and SPC, I say, hey, this is the raw value, this is the average, this is the standard deviation, this is your min and max, and then this is your certificate for all your critical control points. Now you can bring this to the next layer. Okay, you can bring this to your SCADA system. Now we're gonna look in locally. We're not even going out on the dashboards on the cloud, so your upper management can see from their phones. We're talking about locally at the factory. Things that I ask about, are you ready for a recall? Okay, are you doing track and trace? We've done this a while back ago, where imagine you as a consumer, you could see what's on the back, you could scan a QR code in here. And man, that was 10 years ago. And then you would see where the milk came from, which farm the milk came from, how many hours was it, all from the internet. Okay, and we're talking about 512 megabytes of RAM. We're talking about a 10 megabits communication, and we're talking, it's crazy how much we could do back in the day. And I think Rick Carlisle or somebody said these days, back in the day we used to just do things without labeling them. Okay, so we had to do whatever we could with what we had. Okay, so yeah, so do you have any track and trace? We did some serialization for chemical company that, people were making fake products, because each bottle of pesticide, can imagine, was a couple thousand of dollars. So people are doing that off market and selling. So we were doing a unique uh, unique serial number for each bottle, and that had to go through an SAP XI and go back, and imagine the latency. I'm talking about 13 years ago. Okay, so IT convergency, convergence. I was talking about something that uh, these days somebody was talking to me and say, well, that happened to me maybe 3 years ago. Again, don't reinvent the wheel. There are people that are going through the same thing. They were having a broadcast storm with some drives, and we had exactly the same thing. And so this is a big risk, when you do that. And it's not a one size fits all. You need to look case by case. But are you gonna use a net device, or are you gonna to remap all your IP addresses? Definitely do not do this internally. Okay, and they were trying to do this with the maintenance guy, and poor guy, man, he has so many things to do. The guy's running around putting fires every day, doing overtime, and then you think that you're doing it cheaper because you're doing this internally, and this is one of the big mistakes. you know you're paying that guy overtime, you're overworking somebody, and somebody that really knows the plant, but you think that that person has been there for 15, 20 years, and that's all they know. Okay, when you bring a system integrator like me, I traveled the road, looking at different things with different people and speaking different languages, and we've seen so much. I went to 500, 6, I don't know how many factories I've been to. uh, we can do things for a fraction of the time. Okay, and it's cheaper. than you doing this internally because you're paying labor for that guy. And remember, it's not his salary. You're paying overhead. You're paying a lot more for an employee, right? Let's Connect is brought to you by nobody there. But look at this. It would be nice. Look at this right here, right now. You're freestyling, okay? Okay, look, our sponsor right here. Ooh, look at that. All right. Imagine this getting more views, this being a podcast, and I can talk about your brand here. Yeah, so contact me. Like those billboards that has announce your company here. Yeah, but like I'm a technology agnostic. Okay, even if we partner, uh, I will tell the good things about your company, the bad things about your company, no filter, and that's I don't promote anything that I don't believe that I don't think add any value. Okay. Again, we just scratched the surface. I think we went over the 15 minutes that I anticipated. I tend to talk a lot. This is how my first interactions go a lot of times. And imagine in a meeting room full of people, we start talking. Um, you know, I just scratched the surface. I went to every single to the most of the topics here, but we didn't dive in deeper. Okay, so let me know what you want to hear about in the next episodes. Maybe your question can be somebody else's question that is also too shy to ask. Okay, so if you enjoy the format, what do you want to see next time? Um, I was thinking here sharing my screen with some stuff that would be nice. Maybe we can get that going. Maybe next time I can show you a sponsor in here. That would be nice too. Okay, so if you want to do something out of your good heart, out of your goodwill, and if you want to support my dream, support my job, please leave it a like, follow our page on YouTube and LinkedIn right here. Go to our website, www.tupinix.com. Um, okay, and that's it. So here I leave you, and until next time, and let's stay connected. My name is Ricardo Santos, the Industry 4.0 facilitator. Bye.